All right, hello, Facebook. This is Tommy Valentine, Executive Director for Historic Athens. We're so glad that you took the time to tune in with us today for our 1 o'clock episode of This Moment in History COVID-19 in Athens, Georgia. Each day, honestly, it feels like we just started, but we've been doing this since April. Our design was to create an 11-week series where each weekday at 1 o'clock you could tune in and listen to a different community leader help us to examine, explore, and document this unique and often difficult historic moment in Athens, Georgia history. So far, you've heard from entrepreneurs, restaurant owners, community leaders, clergy, everyone that is approaching this community in different ways. Today's no different. Today, we're going to be speaking to Rashe Malcom of Rashe's Cuisine. Rashe has become a community leader in her own right. Not only is she an entrepreneur, not only is she one of Athens' favorite cooks, but she also is someone who is behind multiple new initiatives and initiatives that have garnered some headlines locally, including the Culinary Kitchen, her effort to do farmers markets and other supportive efforts for other local entrepreneurs and people involved in the world of bringing Athens delicious food. So we'll talk to Rashe in just a moment. If this is your first time tuning in, we want you to know this is not just intended for you to sit back and watch. You can participate in today's program. At the conclusion of this series, we will have 55 episodes that we'll be donating to local libraries and research institutions. And to enable that, we have asked our guests to view their answers in two lights. One is we're asking them to consider the answer they're giving to you, the audience here today in 2020, but also they're also being asked to consider that their answers may be viewed by future generations. You can help determine what questions they are answering by submitting some of your own. If you have questions, comments, feedback, anything you'd like to share, we'd love to include it in today's broadcast. All you need to do is comment below this video while it's live. We can pop up the answer on screen and we can make it part of today's discussion. So we hope that you'll do that. If this is your first time interacting with Historic Athens, about halfway through the program, we'll tell you more about how you can get plugged into our organization. But for now, let's begin our conversation with Rashe Malcom. So I am going to go ahead and bring Rashe onto the screen. Give us just one moment, and then our conversation will begin. All right, great. And then, all right, Rashe, you're with us. Hello, how are you?
Hey, how you doing?
Doing very well. I see that you're outdoors. How's the weather out there right now?
It's actually pretending like it wants to rain, but you know how that goes.
Yes, Georgia. I like that. I like that phrase. Pretending like it wants to rain. Absolutely. So Rashe, I want to kind of get right into it by making sure that everyone who's watching knows you. And so let's take some time and talk about who Rashe is, and then also talk about some of the initiatives that you're involved in. So could you start and just take a few minutes and just kind of introduce yourself and explain your relationship to Athens, Georgia?
Okay, so I am Rashe Malcolm. I am the owner chef of Rashe's Cuisine. And I am also the founding director of the Culinary Kitchen of Athens, and I am the founding director of Farm to Neighborhood. Um, all of these initiatives are all food related. They deal with food security, even my for profit Rashi's Cuisine. I'm very much into what is being provided to and sold to my community. And so I don't know. Question is always a little tricky because you tell me to sell myself. I don't really, to me, I don't really sell myself very well. It's just kind of like, I'm Rashi.
That is, I think that's part of the beauty of interacting with you. I will say this though, um, food, as you mentioned, your initiatives center around a lot of different things. Sometimes the people we talk to are running several different initiatives, but they're entirely different spheres. We might have someone who is a hip hop artist and a PhD student and an elected official. But so much of your work is really concentrated around food. So, how did you fall in? I mean, obviously, all of us love food. All of us love your food, but how did you fall in love with making food your life's work?
To be honest, I mean, it was really something that started in childhood. Um, I I hate to sound like a broken record because so many people have heard my backstory, but growing up, I'm from up north. I was originally born up north, and
Hmm.
in the projects, it was a village, right? It
Right.
was a village, and that village looked like everybody. And if one person saw you doing something, they was whooping you all the way till they got you to your grandmama, and they was whooping you till they got you to your mama, and so everything I've always done has always been community driven, has always been very
Mhm.
village driven, and so as my mom went into the military, that is no different.
Right.
The military families are a village, especially when you're living overseas and everybody's away from home. No one really is, where they're from, and so all the things I participated in again was community driven. So when I started the business, it was based upon the food that I provided to a lot of our elderly
Hmm.
who was coming to help their military kids take care of their grandkids. And so to help out, I would, make food and bring to them. Because I was young and I was doing it, and so I would provide food and cooking lessons to latchkey kids, and then there was a lot of teenage pregnancy that people don't like to talk about. That isn't just in low income communities,
Right.
and so I was teamed up with some community centers that had me coming in and being young and representative, was teaching cooking lessons to young moms who all of a sudden find themselves having to take care of children and
Right.
they don't have those basic life skills. So
Mhm.
that's how my business started, and I went into adulthood never stopping.
Right.
And so that's my business model, and it's worked for me. I know a lot of people are like, well, how do you make something like that work? And it's just like, because that's just who I am. And I've stayed
Right.
consistent in what I do. And so I truly believe if you take care of the community will take care of you.
So on that topic of community, so years ago, I can't remember. We had two long conversations back to back when we were first getting to know each other. I think it was the one at Terrapin. But one of the things that I found out about you is that you are of all the hip hop people I know, you are one of the up there's the train. Hold on a second. Uh, you are one of the only people I knew that were equally obsessed with this, unfortunately, kind of obscure but amazing hip hop group, Organized Confusion. And,
Exactly.
and so that kicked off a whole series of conversations
Yes.
about your interactions with music and how that shaped you. Could you spend
Correct.
some time just talking about your background with music?
Sure. So actually, it started when I was in Midwest City, Oklahoma. Shout out to Crutcho Elementary. um, back then everybody wanted to be the next Salt and Pepper. And in our case, we didn't really listen to as much East Coast as we did West Coast. So the Far Side, all of them. So groups that a lot of people didn't hear of, and then they became popular later on. Like we used to watch them come and come to the schools and have talks and things like that. And so by the time I got to Spain, like my pen game was like crazy. So I was like ghostwriting for other people and sending demos out, and so I ended up with a rap contract when I was 16. And so I played basketball. I made the Spanish women's team. But mom was like, "Look, education is coming first, and I'm not about to sit up here and let you do things that aren't going to allow you to get your education." So, and then life happened. I became one of those teenage moms. At 19. So
Right.
back then, you didn't have the Cardi B's of the world who was shining big bellies and dropping it like it's hot.
Right.
Once you got pregnant, life was kind of that was it. Your rap
Mm.
career was kind of put on ice, and that was that. But I still love hip hop. I try to do a lot with the Athens hip hop community when I can. A lot of times you'll see me like sponsor things
Yeah.
or even come out sell food. Whatever it is to still kind of keep that connection going. And I love that's one of the things about us. I'm
Yeah.
always talking about busing Tommy.
Yeah. 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 Well, the thing about it is that so I love that you talked about Far Side. That's still one of my favorite groups. Incredible group. Actually, I just saw yesterday the guys from Run the Jewels just realized that Far Side have been wearing Run the Jewels shirts, so that's like hip hop folding in on itself. But
Right.
but when we talk about this, yeah, absolutely, you're right. The perception of motherhood and femininity in hip hop's changed over time. I still remember it was a really big deal when Lauryn Hill dropped her song
Oh,
"Desire On,"
oh
um,
yeah.
and making this decision to not have to choose.
Hmm.
Um, but regardless of what led you away from being a hip hop artist as the main focus of your life, uh, the hip hop artist KRS One has that phrase that rap is something you do, hip hop is something you live,
Live.
and in many ways, it seems like you're still living that out. You may not be doing one of those four elements, you may not be doing graffiti or DJing or b-boying or rapping, but it does seem like there is a attitudinal and entrepreneurial approach that does bleed through your work. Do you think that's fair? Is that still part of who you are?
Oh yeah, I mean most definitely because even then I remember again when I was in Spain. I mean I went ninth grade. And
Hmm.
so by the time we got to Spain, I had gone to four high schools because mom had to we had to go with this family while she was transitioning to here and, going
Right,
to Europe until she eventually got her duty station. And one of the things about it is, you couldn't just rap. Like you had to do more than. So,
right,
I know a lot has changed. We talk about ghostwriters and all this other stuff.
right,
People not realizing there was ghostwriters back then. People don't want to talk about here. But back then, if you didn't have the money, you were doing your own production, you were doing
right,
your own writing, you were doing your own rapping. You were your own promoter. You,
right,
you know what I mean?
right,
I did the choreography for all my dancers.
right,
You know what I mean?
right.
So you're
That's
right.
right.
There's a lot of entrepreneurship that goes on in the hip hop world, and so transitioning that into food, which is also a very big part of hip hop, right?
Right,
And
right.
community is a very big part of hip hop. You're right. I mean, it all just kind of flowed. It all shaped me to really be who I am, and I'm
Yeah,
appreciative for all of those opportunities.
yeah, yeah. That's very well said. So, okay, so I see we got some comments here. I got uh, so it's FAG or FAJR Delane. Um,
Faja.
Fajer. Okay, saying go on to Rashi. Thank you so much for chiming in. I got Michelle Wynn, our interim director of the Welcome Center, of course, your friend, saying Rashi rocks and love you, cuz with a double heart emoji. Rashi can't see the screen right now, so I want to be clear. It's not just a heart emoji. She didn't leave it there. It was a heart with a heart above it emoji. All right. So Rashi, let's talk about um, Rachi's cuisine.
Okay.
I want to start there because for so many people, that is how they met you. That is a flavor that people are still craving, that they're looking forward to getting out. You, as a business owner, have navigated COVID-19 in some pretty innovative ways. Let's back up and just kind of talk about how this crept into your business, how it changed your business, and how you approached it. So, when you think back to March, when this
Hmm.
all started coming down on us, what was your reaction and how did you start to recalibrate Rashi's?
So I'm gonna be honest with you. My business model, as the health department pointed out, was kind of already COVID proof. If you came to the
Yeah,
original restaurant, I already served out of a window. No one
right,
came inside my facility,
right,
and it was like a jerk check. You came, you
right,
bought your food, and you went on about your business.
right,
Every once in a while, people would stay and sit and chill out and things like that. And then, so by the time COVID hit, I was in the process of opening a new restaurant, which was going to
right,
have pretty much the same business model. And so I was already doing catering and delivery
right,
services. And I actually wasn't even doing pickup. So, in that sense, my business model wise, a lot of the things that I was working on in the back end, like farm to neighborhood, these
right,
were things that were like in a year in the making. And by the time we rolled them out, COVID happened. It just seemed like, oh my gosh, she has the right. No, it was actually already in the making. And so, I always say that that's God in spirit.
right,
Everything has to be done in its own time. And, that's how it felt. Did COVID affect me? Absolutely. In the sense that, we had some people who forgot about me
right,
because, I wasn't in a brick or mortar, right?
right,
So all of a sudden it was like, hey, we need to support our local businesses, keep them open, keep
right,
employees going. Well, we were a family owned business. So,
right,
the employees we had were family members. And so people were like, well, but you don't have employees, it's family. And it's just like, hey, we still
right,
got to eat.
Right. Right.
So
Right.
so on that point we did take a hit, but as far as like our business model went, we didn't really have to make many changes. And then the food truck we already had,
Right.
but then that got stopped as well because of COVID and people not issuing permits, and then the
Right.
offices we were going through had closed down. I mean, right after I had fought the good fight, and then boom, it all kind of impeded. But
So,
I mean, other than that, I mean, yeah, I would say that's how we were affected by COVID. Just
yeah.
that not having that brick and mortar, and everybody wanting to support people who had brick and mortars and who had employees, and we
Right.
got it. We totally did. But
Right.
like I said, we were just kind of like, well, we gotta eat too.
So, maybe I got ahead of ourselves because I'm just imagining someone tuning in right now and we're having this fun conversation about Rashi's cuisine and how people like the food. But I realized that maybe there's someone out there who unfortunately has never had Rashi's cuisine. They don't really know what
Okay.
defines your palate that you're working with there.
Okay.
So, if somebody wanted to know what is Rashi's cuisine, what would your answer be?
We specialize in foods near and far. That's our slogan.
Mhm.
We are a Jamaican restaurant. I know people like to call us a Jamaican American fusion, and that's great. But I really try to tell people that if you close your eyes and you imagine, I mean, the differences between spices and seasonings.
Mhm.
We
Right.
do some things
Right.
different, but a lot of our foods are exactly the same. There are
Right.
only so many food groups in the world, right?
Right.
And so, what you may do with a potato, we may do with a yam.
Mm.
That concept. Some of the things you may do with a mango, we may do something else. You eat a banana, we fry a plantain. you
Right.
know I try to tell people that the foods are a lot more similar than you think. And I know everybody thinks, well, it's Jamaican, so it's like super hot, super spicy. Please imagine, you don't tell a northerner and a southerner that they cook collards the same way.
Right. Right.
So you can't say that about Jamaicans. We don't all cook the same.
Well, it's funny because my first phrase that came to mind for me was comfort food because I just know that it's hard to feel upset when you're eating Rashi's cuisine. Uh, um,
So
all
Tommy,
right,
well, let me
sorry.
tell you, the
Yeah.
first 2 years we were
Yeah.
open on
Yeah.
Tallahassee Road,
Yeah.
we had some guys who came by and was like, "Yeah, y'all won again," and we're like, "What did we win?" And they're like, "Yeah, y'all won the best food to eat after you got high. You don't get rid of your high and you don't feel sick."
Right. Right.
It's like,
Right.
oh my god, I didn't know if that was a compliment or not.
Wow, and they're having an award. That's very coordinated of them. Lindsay Brandon from the Chamber of Commerce just chimed in. If you haven't eaten Rashi's yet, you need to make this your next meal. So let's say that we've inspired someone here to try out Rashi's. What are some of the ways that they can do that these days, Rafi?
So on our social media, we post a meal list for Friday meals. But starting the second week in July, we will actually be rolling out the. Actually, this is an exclusive, Tommy.
Yeah, I know,
The
I know. I was
sec,
about to say, let's
the,
break it right here.
the
Yeah, yeah,
second week of July,
yeah.
we will start on Fridays at Jittery Joe's during lunchtime. So the food truck will be rolling out at Jittery Joe's Roaster on Barber Street, starting the second week in July. The date, I want to say July 9th, 10th. Don't hold that against us. Whatever that Friday is. Um, we will also go back with our partnership with Cosmic Delivery. So
Hmm.
you will still be able to do the meal pickup service
Right,
and or choose delivery. So you'll be able to order through Cosmic, and you can
right.
do pre-orders through Cosmic, and you can either pick up at the restaurant, which is at 585 Vine Street, Suite 3. We're getting our new sign up tomorrow.
Yes,
Yes, yes,
congratulations.
yes, yes. Or you'll be able to get Cosmic to deliver it to your home or office. Or, like I said, you'll be able to come to the food truck on Fridays at Jittery Joe's Roaster. And I know a lot of people are saying, well, why don't y'all just hurry up and open? I need people to understand that I not only have to take care of my family, but my new employees that I'm bringing
Right,
on. I have to take care of the public. COVID is still going on strong right now. It's still a lot of unknowns. So I'm really just kind of tiptoeing in. I still want to be able to provide a service. I do still
right,
need to feed my family and pay the bills because Georgia Power don't play.
right,
Um,
right,
but at the same time, I want to do things safe and in order. So we're still just rolling out really, really slow. And then on Thursdays, we still have the farm to neighborhood
Yep.
which is our mobile farmers market, that will actually start rolling out in neighborhoods that Thursday of the second week of July.
So, Rashi, I want the audience to have some perspective here.
Okay.
There's that saying, when it rains, it pours.
Uh-oh.
You A lot of the things that we just talked very quickly about have been coming for a very long time. The idea of having this brick and mortar restaurant, this idea of having the 501c3 status, all of these things take a lot of work, and in some cases, years of work to get to this point. You've definitely been productive during COVID-19, haven't you? It feels
Oh
like
yes, I've been a
you've gotten
busy
it all
bee.
together. You have a family, you have multiple people looking to you, you have a business, you have a community of. I want to talk about food trucks in a moment and the challenges that Athens faces with food trucks. But you have this whole community you're sewing together. How- did COVID force you to get in a room and be productive? Did you just rise to the occasion? How did you navigate this moment?
Let me tell you, I always believe that every situation is an opportunity.
Hmm.
Um, you know, nothing happens by chance. And I truly am one of those people who believe that COVID gave us a great opportunity for a reset. And
Hmm.
so while like I stated, a lot of people were like, well, we're going to support, small businesses, and they kind of forgot about me. So I was like,
Right.
okay, cool. Well, now's the time that before, when I didn't have, time to work on these other projects that I had, now
Right.
I have all the time in the world. And so that's exactly what I did. I put it together. I now have a small team that works with me of a bunch of great ladies, which will be coming out publicly with who those ladies are.
Hmm.
And they were like, look, what do you need? What do you need? We have time. They have full-time jobs and they were laid off, so it's just like,
Right.
what do you need to get what you need done? And then the movie Madam CJ Walker came out, and I
Mm.
saw the movie and I'd read the books, and I knew about her. But when the visual came on, and I was
Hmm.
like, wait a minute, there was just so much about her and I that was just so simple. Even the attitude she had with her family and a relationship she had with
Uh-huh.
her husband, and just all of that. And I was like, oh my God, am I really that bad? Or oh my God, that's me. And
Huh.
so it was just like, she made her first million during a pandemic. Now, will I make my first million during this pandemic? Only God knows, but I'm
Right.
going to try.
I want to. We obviously we're historic Athens. I wouldn't have taken this job if I didn't like history. And so you just brought up a really unique historic figure that I don't want to just buzz by. And so you talked about Madame C.J. Walker. This was a person who had a tremendous legacy in a lot of different ways. But she was not only one of the first uh, women multimillionaires in the country at a time where we're talking, for her to be a multimillionaire in the early 1900s is you do the inflation, but she was also an African American woman. Why did her story resonate with you so much?
Like I said, when I saw the visual of the movie, just the
Hmm.
portrayal of her in the movie, you
Hmm.
know, I know a lot of people are like, oh, she's so hardworking and she's so nice and she's so this and she's so that. But she made a lot of sacrifices, and her
Hmm.
family was like, it's always about the business. Everything is about the business. She took all of her money and put it in what she believed in was going to
Right.
be best for her community. It wasn't just about herself.
Right.
And some people said, well, she sacrificed her family and her marriage for what she wanted. And I get accused of the same thing.
Hmm.
And so it resonated with me because, that I've told this story. I'm very transparent. I've
Yeah.
twice in the last 2 years, my house has been up, in the newspaper.
Right.
We were going to lose it. And my family was like, what the hell's wrong with you? We need to start thinking about ourselves. You keep worrying about the community. And I'm like,
Sure.
listen, what works for the community, what helps the community, what builds the community, helps build us. If
Hmm.
my community can't afford to buy my food, I still don't have a business,
Right.
you know? And so those are not sacrifices that everyone's willing to make. Were they right? Were they wrong? In my case, it panned out. Will that
Right.
work for everybody? Absolutely not. We've seen it before. Um, But that was what resonated with me with her, is that she was willing to bet on herself when everyone else was like, yeah,
Yeah,
no, no. She's like, you know what? That's fine. I'm still going to get what I want, and I'm still going to do what I need to do, and I'm going to build my community up, even if it's one person at a time to do that. And
yeah,
I just strong. I have that strong of a conviction and feel the same way. And so that's what resonated with me with her when I saw the visual of
yeah.
that movie. Mhm.
So yeah, so if you're watching this and you have not heard of Madame C.J. Walker, because obviously certain people get left out of history books, we definitely encourage you to look that up. There's also the I think it's on Netflix, right? Self-made.
Yes.
Um, Rashi, in a moment, I'm going to just need to thank our annual sponsors. But before we do that, I want to bring on a comment here. I had just flashed up the Facebook page for Rashi's Cuisine. I hope folks, if you didn't see it, jump into the comment section below this video and head over there. You can also find your way to the website. Rashi, your food is not only good, the merch game is really good. The Rashi's merch is very good. But I did want to share this comment from Broderick Flanagan, obviously community leader, entrepreneur himself. He was our first guest on this program. Broderick just said, "Thank you, Rashi, for doing the business in the Triangle Plaza." He used way more exclamation points than I've ever seen Broderick use. So that's saying something. We need to get the market going over here. Can you talk about your relationship to Triangle Plaza and why you've decided to kind of invest in that area?
You know, here's the funny part, a little unknown fact. I
Mhm.
actually was supposed to be over there like years ago, like even
Mm,
before I ended up on Tallahassee. And it just wasn't right. And then while I was at Tallahassee, some things were going on, and the Broderick was one of the main vocal people. Him and Michelle Pearson, and even
right,
Mr. Isaiah Ellison himself,
right,
came over and talked to me. And was like, "Look, we have a space for you. Come over." This is before the lighthouse. This is before the Beijing delight, and I was just like, I'm not able to. I was the restaurant wasn't doing that great,
hmm,
and financially that meant that I wasn't doing that great. I fell
yeah,
off of a building, so I lost my corporate job, and so things just weren't right. And
right,
I had told them, I said, I can't go over there until it's right. And so now the opportunity had presented itself again, late last year, and
hmm,
it ended up being right. And boom, I mean, everything has just fallen into place. It hasn't had to be forced. It hasn't had to be coerced. You
right,
know, and I've been able to fit right in. And I admit, and this is something that I've said publicly. I was a little concerned because people on the West Side knew me a lot better than on the East Side. You would
right,
ask somebody on the East Side, and they're like, "Who? What is that?"
right,
And then, but I came over, and I mean, they already calling me Auntie Rashi, saying, when you go open, what's up? They see me carrying boxes, they come carry my boxes, help me in.
right,
I mean, it's been such a community effort that for a community, like I said, that before I got over there, it was like, who?
right.
So there's a love for the triangle that, I mean, trust me, it's not gonna go away. And like I said, it took going at the right time, and this was
Yep,
the right time. And I'm glad I waited and not forced it.
absolutely. And Broderick, I see your other comment. Autocorrect gets us every time. I got you. So, all right. So, Rashi, one question I meant to ask earlier that I feel like I skipped by as well. You could have ended up anywhere. I mean, I've been in Athens since I was 5, and I still don't have a Southern accent, so I'm still treated a little bit as an outsider. You definitely do not have a Southern accent. No one thinks you were born here, um, but uh, you very much made this your home. You've doubled down on Athens. What about Athens got you hooked in? Why have you set up roots here and invested so much in the community here?
Well, when my mom got out of the military, she actually brought us from Spain to Greene County, Georgia.
Oh wow,
So I graduated from Green. They always say, I call it Green Talifero. Of course, it's Green Talifer. When it was GTCHS, and
right?
so we were just like, wow, this is way too country. But we have roots there. Like we can we my great grandfather was still there, so like
Right.
we can go back to the fact that we still had the land that we had been enslaved on, right? I
Mm,
mean, so we were just like, yeah, mom, in the middle of Cary Station Road, this ain't gonna work. So I graduated, and then my brother was going in 10th grade. And so him and my mom ended up in Athens because that was quote unquote the next city. And
Right.
it was actually more like Hartford, Connecticut, where my mom is from,
Right.
than pretty much anywhere else. That we not really big city people. So Atlanta, that's not really our style. We'll party there, but we don't live
Mhm.
there. And so that's how we end up in Athens. So then for a short little while, and I get criticism because I don't claim Clark Central as my high school. My actual diploma came from Clark Central
Oh, wow.
because I had a class that I took in Spain that the state of Georgia, the day of graduation, said, well, you were supposed to take
Wow.
it in the state of Georgia. It was a civics class. So I had to go to Clark Central for one semester. So technically, I graduated from Clark Central, but I don't claim
Wow.
Clark Central because I was only there just for the half a semester for the two classes.
Yeah.
And my brother went off to be, this high school football star. Shout out to James Marshall. What up? Class of '96, last of the Henderson dynasty. Um, and so, so I have history here in Athens, and I came back and forth. So I was between here and Hartford and Jamaica, and I kept kind of rotating the
Yeah.
cycle. And then finally, it was just like, if my kids weren't going to go to school in Jamaica, then Athens was where we were gonna keep them rooted, and
Yeah.
so we stayed here, and the rest is just kind of history. Mm-hmm.
It's so interesting. I think at some point you should feel completely comfortable just starting to claim Clark Central, and no one's gonna. I mean, I'll say as a Cedar Shoals Jaguar, I'd hate to lose you, but it doesn't sound like we can recruit you anyway. We might have waited too long, so go ahead and get your Gladiator Letterman jacket.
Yeah,
Um,
I just don't want anybody to say, "Oh, you a fake," you only
yeah.
buy the Clark Central Tell. It's like, no, I actually went there.
Hey,
It
if
was
you
only
have
a
the
half a
diploma,
semester, but
yeah, just carry that diploma with you everywhere you go. There would be no question of that. So okay, Rashi, when we talk more about the moment in a second, I want to talk about all of the things that are going on in our community, delve a little bit more into COVID-19. I need to just ask from you and the audience just about 60 seconds so we can thank our sponsors. And so just stick with us real quick, Rashi. I'm going to switch over and just thank our sponsors very quickly, okay?
okay,
Um,
okay,
so, folks, just so you know, the names you see on the screen here, the names and logos, these represent the people that keep our lights on all year round. I mentioned earlier that this broadcast, this is week 11 of 11. This week was brought to you by Burtis and Catherine Downs, and so we really appreciate the Downs family and their support for our work here. But also, you'll notice that you can see a lot of names and businesses on our general sponsor list in front of you right now that support our work. We're a 52-year-old 501c3 nonprofit. We would love to have your support as a sponsor or even a member. Membership begins at only $5 a month. You can find out more at historicathens.com. When we end with Rashi here at 2 o'clock, we encourage you to head over to the Facebook page for the Athens Welcome Center, which we also operate. The staff over there has been doing a wonderful job every day at 2 o'clock, doing historic tours and virtual workshops, welcoming you to unique and important facts and techniques around Athens. So we definitely encourage you to head over to there at 2 o'clock. I'm flashing on the screen right now the list of all of our guests we've had on the program. As I said, it's 55 episodes. Our first one was April 13th with Broderick. And now this week we wrap up on Friday with Commissioner Mariah Parker. If you want to see previous episodes, including this morning's bonus episode with Mocha Jasmine Johnson, you should head to the videos section of our Facebook page. And we'd love to have that time with you. Two last things, and then we're back to Rashi. Tonight is episode 3 of 5 in our deep dive into the award winners of Historic Athens Preservation Awards, our 51st year. Normally, we celebrate with one night at the Morton. Tonight, however, is going to be part of a deeper dive series, and we're going to spend some time with the folks from Chuck's Fish and get a sense of what went into that project and restoring that old bus station into one of Athens' newest and most beloved restaurants. So definitely check that out. Last thing here before we get back to Rashi, if you're looking for a quick, fun way to support Historic Athens, please consider one of these locally printed and designed T-shirts made by local print shop Satisfactory Printing. They're only available until June 30th. And they're only $19.99, and we have three: one that supports Boulevard Historic District, one that supports and celebrates Rock Springs Historic District. I'm sorry, celebrates, and then also one that celebrates the architecture of Athens, Georgia. So definitely check those out. They're available at historicathens.com, and thank you for that. All right, so Rashi, getting back to business here. Um, uh, when we talk about COVID-19 and we talk about history, history doesn't happen in a vacuum. There's been a lot going on. Uh, I I will say that in the meantime, two gladiators popped up in the comment section, so I'll go ahead and share that. So Alex Sams, loyal gladiator, says, "Thank goodness that diploma said Clark Central." Sorry, Alex. And then Jeremy Field, also a gladiator ambassador, and one of our trustees. Alex heads up our awards. Jeremy's one of our trustees. Jeremy jumped in to say, "We'll claim you," with a winky emoji. So you're officially in now.
Okay.
No poser accusations on
All
the
right. All
gladiator thing.
right. Oh, thank you
Um,
for that.
so Rashi, we were saying that history doesn't happen in a vacuum. There's been a lot going on in the world right now in our communities. Uh, in addition to the pressure of COVID-19, how have you grappled with all of the conversations going on these days?
To be honest, I mean, in my world,
Yeah,
those conversations were already taking place. So to me, everybody's just now catching up, right?
yeah,
So none of this is new under the sun.
right,
I don't like the way things are going, but uh, uh, I feel like the sentiment is true that
yeah,
we have to go through growing pains and then we
yeah,
come out of that a lot stronger.
right,
And so I think that if we don't give up and we continue to go through this hard bump in the road,
right,
that we can come out of this a lot stronger and a lot better. And this is definitely an opportunity for us to learn
uh-huh,
from our history so that we can reshape, I mean, learn from our past to reshape our history. And historic Athens, I know you know all about that.
right,
So this is definitely a teachable moment, a learning opportunity, and I feel like if we as a community take this opportunity to work together to figure out how we can heal ourselves
right,
and get through this, I think that we will come out a lot stronger and a lot better. My concern is if we don't do that.
right,
That's my concern. You know, but I just truly believe that we're strong enough that we will be able to come out of this, and we will be able to have those difficult conversations without there being so many hurt feelings.
hmm,
There will be a lot more compassion and understanding, and
right,
I feel like that's one of the things about me why I feel like my circle is so
yeah.
large and so vast, and so it's because I'm willing to have those conversations, and my feelings aren't always in it.
Mm. Thanks for sharing that perspective. So I asked you to focus on Rashi's cuisine. We talked about the website. We talked about social media. We talked about the breaking news and the changes to your uh, face-to-face operation. But there are other initiatives you're running, and I just want to spend a little bit more time shining a spotlight on those. So Rashi, you're doing a lot. Which one would you like to start with? What other side initiative would you like to talk about?
So we'll talk about the culinary Athens kitchen of Athens right now because I
Yeah,
know a lot of people are like, well, what happened to that? Well, COVID happened to that. Now, if I
yeah,
have any of my business entities that got hit the hardest, it's the
yeah,
culinary kitchen of Athens. We were well on our way to kind of securing our location
yeah,
and that whole situationship, and then COVID happened, and it was just like funding went away,
right,
and the conversation got pushed to the back, and it was just like, well, let's have this conversation next year once things are different.
right.
But if anybody knows Rashi, I don't take it lying down too hard. So I will definitely, that is still a topic on the top of my tongue. That
Uh-huh.
is still an initiative that I'm pushing because this wasn't just a fly by night situation. It was something that was needed for the community. And this more than ever of a time to prove that our community needed a shared kitchen of the capacity that we were trying to do and the food truck hub.
Right.
So though these small entrepreneurs more than ever need us, and they need us to be able to help them be able to provide more opportunities where they can be able to sell products and get their name out there.
Sure. So we might have just jumped past what the Culinary Kitchen of Athens is. I did share the Facebook link in the comments right here, and it's such an interesting premise, and yes, it's one that's probably more appropriate for a world where everyone can safely get together face to face. So it may have to lie dormant for a while. But can you just share the concept behind the culinary kitchen and why you feel that has some potential for our community?
Okay, so the Culinary Kitchen of Athens was put together because we are in a world of vendors. That's how we
Mm.
recognize our small businesses, especially our startups.
Yeah,
And we get to a point as vendors, as I myself was a vendor,
yeah,
where we're doing this for a few years and then we kind of get stagnant.
hmm,
We either get stagnant in just what we're doing and it
yeah,
feels repetitive, or we get stagnant in the amount of incoming people that we're able to see. So now we need that bridge to help
yeah,
us get to the next level. And for someone who is, let's say, at a farmer's market who may have a cottage food license, who's a baker, you need a commercial kitchen space in
right,
order to sell to your Jittery Joe's, Creature Comforts, Walmart, Kroger, and
right,
on. And so that's how the culinary kitchen kind of formed and developed as an opportunity for those who have been in business for a couple of years and they need that bridge of opportunity to get to the next level.
right,
Of course, that doesn't quite work the same with the food truck component because it's hard to say you have to be in a food truck for a couple of years and then you come work with us. But a lot of times it's those food vendors. Like I was a food vendor, Manna Winter was a food vendor.
right,
Some of us want brick and mortars and some of us want food trucks. And so we were trying to get an opportunity where we could combine those two efforts at a larger scale um, in one building. And so we had the Winter Community Market, which was the first one in Athens. We've now have 2 years under our belt. And we were using those as opportunities to be able to fundraise for that effort, but
mhm,
also to give vendors an opportunity to sell during the winter months. Most markets only run from, let's say, March to October,
mhm,
some if you're lucky till December. But then what happens to those businesses January, February, and March,
mhm.
especially if this is not a hobby for them? And so we wanted to be able to give them an opportunity to sell year round, especially when they don't have a storefront. And so then we started also the Downtown Culinary Showcase, which also was yet another economic opportunity for these small businesses who essentially don't have storefronts to be able to still sell their products and
Right,
do it more than one day a week so that they can bring in more income. So most people equate the Culinary Kitchen of Athens with the winter market and they
right,
think we're just another market. But that actually isn't what the Culinary Kitchen of Athens is. It's actually that commercial space and the six commissary food truck hub.
right.
That's actually the basis of who we are.
Great. Rashi, I just see Alex Sams just jumped in saying, your concern is my concern, Rashi. Dialogue is so important so we can all learn why we have our thoughts. That's how we learn how to move forward on any issue. Thanks for that statement. Referring to your earlier uh, statement on the state of the community right now and the discussions that are happening about Black Lives Matter and everything else. So thank you, Alex, for that comment. Rashi, thanks for your comment. I see Michelle Wynn shared a note as well, and so I just want to kind of throw this out there, Rashi. Um, the Do you have anything to say about, I guess, 1 million cups? Are you involved in that?
Oh, listen, y'all, please forgive me. I swear I'm coming back.
Yeah.
Yes. So I signed on to be to help be an organizer for 1 Million Cups. I've been involved with 1 Million Cups. Maybe is it a year or two now, Michelle?
Hmm.
I can't. Yeah, I think it's been about a year or two now. Um, I've actually been a presenter at 1 Million Cups. We partnered with 1 Million Cups not only to help bring the stories of
Hmm.
other small entrepreneurs and nonprofit organizations
Right.
and others, but also so that the individuals who work with the Culinary Kitchen of Athens could also have an outlet.
Right.
One of the things about the Culinary Kitchen of Athens, we also have partnered with the Northeast Georgia Business Alliance
Right.
in providing the financial literacy component. Because what I found is when you talk to a lot of businesses, um, a lot of our smaller startups, not even just our smaller startups, some of our brick and mortars, if you talk to them,
Right.
they had no idea about business. Somebody, a friend of a friend of a friend, told them they cooked a really nice cupcake and they
Right.
decided to go for it.
Right.
And That's business. And then when things go belly up, they go, oh, well, the community just didn't support us.
Right.
Well, they didn't know about marketing. They didn't know about the financial aspect. Some people are selling products and it cost them $12 to make and they're selling it for $8. Why? Because that's what somebody else is selling it for.
Right.
So, the Culinary Kitchen of Athens was put together to really help them be able to say, okay, you're here,
Yep.
right? And you want to go here, but what does that look like?
Right.
And it's not always if you build it, they will come.
Right. All right. So we have about 10 minutes together. Michelle just dropped the link for the 1 million cups Athens into the comment section. If you're not familiar with that, I encourage you to click on it and find out more. Rashi, we've talked around it and alluded to it, but
Uh-oh.
for our folks, can you hear me? Is that okay?
Yes, uh-huh.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, 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 no. It's
I was
nothing,
scared
nothing
about
too
what you gonna ask me,
controversial.
Tommy.
I think that let's take the following thing head on, which is food
Okay.
trucks in Athens. And to do that, I know we have to set aside COVID, which has maybe had other complications to it. But one of the things we hear a lot in Athens is, why don't we have more food trucks? Why don't we see more food trucks? The moment a food truck's successful, though, folks immediately want you to open a brick and mortar. It's such an interesting world. You have been one of the community leaders involved in bringing that community together alongside other folks like Maxim and Saphir and some of the other leaders there. Can you tell our viewers, why is it so complicated to run a food truck in Athens? What makes that an interesting climb?
So I will say this.
Mm-hmm.
I will say from the implementation point was a lot of lack of communication between the different government entities you had to deal with.
Mm-hmm.
And we have been very very vocal and been very very helpful
Yep.
in getting a lot of that gap closed. The mayor and commission didn't know what their role was with the planning department. The planning department didn't know what
Right.
the role of the health department, and the circle went on. And each one would tell you the other one could do certain things, and they really couldn't. And then you're talking about local government versus
Right.
state. And then if you're the state agency, you're trying to apply rules that would go in Atlanta
Right.
that wouldn't really apply in Athens, and so on and so forth. And so I would like to think that now, if you go through that process now, it's a little easier, right? Because now we've all sat in the same room, we've had these conversations, we now have a better understanding of what each one of us, of the role each of us play.
Yeah.
From the standpoint of the customer, I will say this, and it's gonna be hard for some of y'all to hear, and so that's okay. But Auntie Rashi got to say it anyway. You have to support your local food trucks.
Right.
Like, you can't let an Atlanta truck come down to a festival and you got a line around, historic Athens to go
Right.
to an Atlanta food truck, and the Athens food truck is just sitting there because
Right.
you know that you can go to them anytime. Like,
Right.
it's like anything else. If you don't spend your money there, then they can't stay.
Right.
And then on the food truck side of it, um, there's definitely some things that as a food truck we could kind of work on a little better. I think sometimes because we're trying to get our foot in the door, we
Right.
tend to cut ourselves short, and then we
Mhm.
don't make what we need to make, and then we want to blame the community for that, right?
Right.
And it's like, well, no, if you tell the community what they need to do, then then they know what to expect. Versus, you can't do one thing here and something else here, and it has to be very consistent. Consistency is what I'm going to say. So, if you say you're going to be somewhere on Friday, you need to be there on Friday. Unless there's a storm, you need to be there on Friday.
Right.
People understand electrical issues, but if you say you're going to be there on Friday and then you don't show up because somebody offered you $1 more in a catering somewhere else,
Right.
and they see you, then they no longer have faith in you in the industry that you serve. So you see,
Right.
everyone had their part to play. And so my thing was, I wasn't going to sugarcoat it. And
Right.
I hold myself to that same standard, right? As
Right.
I'm saying for others to hold themselves to as well.
Well summarized. Perfectly. I said 5 minutes and you went right on 5 minutes. So if it all could only be that simple. So I'm going to say what Auntie Rashi just said to all of us, say it again, which is we really have to support these entrepreneurs. I love our brick and mortar restaurants. I hope all of you are out there ordering curbside, ordering, the from innovators like Rashi, like you've offered as an opportunity for those Friday meals. Um, but if we want to continue to have an amazing crepe truck that makes homemade crepes, if we want to have these trucks that offer unique cuisine we can't get anywhere else, I still mourn, although I know it ended for other reasons. I still miss Manila Express. I mean, we have such wonderful food trucks in this food truck community. We really have to support them. So, Rashi, let's take the last 5 minutes we have together and go through the three questions we ask everyone. Does that sound
Okay.
okay?
Okay.
Okay, so the first one's it's a funny one to ask after what we were just talking about. But I'm going to ask you to put on your imagination cap for a second. So,
Okay.
if you imagine that somehow you woke up tomorrow and this was all over, there was no need to shelter in place anymore. Every business you know and love was open. Every park, every movie theater, every restaurant, every bar was open again. And let's also assume you had the day off somehow from the 100 things you're doing. Uh, if you had that day, how would you spend that day? Where would you go? Where do you miss?
I'm riding on a horse butt naked through downtown. No, I'm just joking. I'm just joking. I'm just joking.
That I got to be honest with you, we sometimes have overlap in the answers we get from people. Like, two people might choose sea bear. We have not had a lot of people riding nude on horses, but I mean,
No, I'm joking. I'd probably actually take a day off.
yeah, yeah,
I don't know what that feels like. I mean, you see, I'm having it. I'm having this moment with you during my daughter's birthday
right,
party, just so you can look. She's gone now.
right.
She's just like, bye, mommy. Yeah, I'd probably take the day off and probably spend some time with my kids and just be happy to just have that moment to breathe and not have to be, concerned about everything going on.
That sounds good. Yeah, well, maybe if that when that day comes to pass, everyone will be eating at your places, and you'll be free to just relax. And
Yes.
happy birthday to your daughter. By the way, we got
Yes.
Jeremy Field, who once again formally welcomed you to the Gladiator ranks. Sent a double laughing till we cry emoji out here. So Jeremy may be buying a horse too. You never know.
Let's ride
Okay,
together, Jeremy.
there we go. There we go. It's a new trend. Um, so second to last question concerns historic places in Athens. So, we're lucky in this town. We have a lot of historic character. Um, it, what we're preparing for is that when we get out of this pandemic, we're likely also going to be coming out of a recession. And after a recession, traditionally people have a lot of pent up development pressure. They want to build a lot of new things. That's understandable, maybe even commendable. But what we worry about is sometimes that can quickly lead to the destruction of historic neighborhoods, places, districts. So we've been asking each of our guests, and listen, I don't expect you to top your last answer. I just saw Alex Sams chimed in and said, best answer ever on what to do when back to normal. So I don't expect you to top the the last one. But uh, Rashi, what to you are some of your favorite historic places in Athens, places that you hope future generations get to enjoy?
Tom, you already know my answer to that, Tommy. I told you I'm gonna be so famous in Athens. You're gonna be forced to make my house a historic
That's right. You've
place.
said this before that our job is
Yes,
to preserve your
so my
house. That's
kids
right.
can be like, all those days when mommy was talking on to Tommy Valentine during my 10th birthday party at Little Ice Cream Dude's place and ignoring all the guests.
Right.
It was worth it because our house is a
Your house
historic
is a historic
Athens.
marker. That's right. Yeah, you've hit me up for that marker before. We'll have to get to work on that. I hope that we live in a world 50 years from now where I guess he'll be big ice cream man by that point. But
Exactly.
I hope that Bo. I mean, he already practically is at this point. But
You see how tall he's gotten? Oh
I
my
know it's
god.
scary. He went from this little kid. Next time he's gonna be towering over me. But hopefully, little ice cream dude shots a historic place. I know
Exactly.
you have a great relationship with Jittery Joe's Roaster
Oh
on that
yeah.
historic site. Are there any other
Yeah.
places like that come to mind you really enjoy?
Manawinta. Shout out to Mr. Kelly.
Yeah,
I mean, Taziki's.
Right.
All of Peter's places. Lord knows we gonna need a maypole by the time we get 50 years old. I'm gonna sure need to be eating something that keeps me going, if you know what
I
I
love it.
mean.
I love it. All right. So we're gonna have a restaurant crawl in 50
Exactly.
years and go hit up all those places and then finish with
Exactly.
snow. All right. All right. So my last question is very open ended. Feel free to take it whatever direction you want, however much time you want. But um, Rashi, if somebody's watching this 100 years from now, maybe your daughter's celebrating her 110th birthday. Um, what do you want that future generation to know? What do you want the person 100 years from now to know about this moment in Athens history?
I wanted them to know this moment in Athens history gave us an opportunity to learn from our past. And we had to take this moment to finally learn from our past and fight for our future.
Mm.
And we may not have done it the way that others thought that we should,
Hmm.
in some cases, but the fact is we did it, and we did it so that they can enjoy the freedoms that they did. The same way my great grandparents told me they fought so that I could enjoy freedoms, I want my future generations and the future
Right,
generations
right.
of Athenians to feel like we fought so that they could enjoy the freedoms that they have.
Absolutely. All right. Well, that's wonderfully said. Thank you so much, Rashi. And we want to thank you. Birthday parties are important, so we want you to get back to that. But thanks for taking time to talk to us today. We really appreciate it. Okay.
No, I appreciate you having me, Tommy.
Of course, of course.
You gotta bust a rhyme next time, though.
Yeah, yeah, I know. I
It's
keep
not gonna be a
promising.
real
Maybe,
interview.
maybe off camera. All right. I'm a little rusty, but as long as you bust one back, we're good. But keep in mind, you were good enough to get signed. I wasn't, so my expectations for you are a little higher. All right. Well, look, you and I are going to jump offline. Stick with me for
Okay.
1 second. Everyone
Okay.
else, we hope that you'll come back and tune in tomorrow at 1 o'clock. We also have a bonus episode in the morning with Dr. Lakeisha Gant of the school board. So you can check that out. And then, of course, there's the awards programming tonight at 6. So lots of options, or head over to the Welcome Center page right now. They just started a live video. So thank you all to everyone. Thanks for appreciating local history. I see Alex said fun show. Thanks, Rashi. Thanks, Alex. Thanks, Rashi. Stay safe out there. We'll see you soon. All right.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Bye.